there is a need to control the agent runtime, right? And that brings back memories of eBPF and Falco and other things from cloud. Right? So there is a need for identity. There is a need for runtime. There is a need for data access, right? There is, and Mitch, you're at the forefront of this, the need for an observability native view of how agents behave. But where I'm seeing a gap is that I go talk to vendors and they are all about these things for their little niche, right? They're all about these things for, and everything that they do about the others is kind of like almost like a checkbox. We can do agentic, we can discover agents, but we discover agents by scanning your GitHub repos. Wonderful. What about all my agents that don't use GitHub, right? So I think that there is this gap in the conversation about what do people actually need. And I mentioned browsers. One of the things that's interesting is I've seen a lot of conversations around people leveraging browser security as a discovery mechanism for agents, which makes sense, right? Not so we see agent and AI, shadow agent, right? We see discovery of that by having browser extensions or secure browsers or enterprise browsers, whatever we want to call them, right? Monitor user behavior and see, oh look, you're going to a provider. Let's flag you as an agent. How does that workflow, which to me is much closer to something like SASE, which Tom and I worked on just recently, right? That to me is much closer to SASE than it is to the code to cloud stuff that you and I work on, Mitch. Where is the core security person sitting between those worlds? That's a motivating thought for me this spring of Agentic 2026.
And you have the speed of how fast everything is happening. More parts you have to deal with and assemble and integrate. That's a tough place to be in, I think, for security people.
It's a tough, it's an acceleration, and I hate to bring up more of the FUD and confusion around mythos into this, right? But that kind of acceleration, like we have to, one of the things that Anthropic with Mythos points us towards is that we are moving to a world where people need to move faster and have faster feedback, period. The days of we can patch on a quarterly basis, and I think we're moving past that. And the days that, oh look, okay, we're going to run a scan and discover all of your endpoints once a week. No, we have to move. I hope that security teams are thinking about how they build their processes faster. That's
people are talking about every day is 0 day. That's the era that Mythos produces, because things can be discovered that quickly in large quantities, right? Now, maybe that's hyperbolic, but
yeah, and I would use that less as a, oh my goodness, we have a 0 day in our environment every day, to a motivation for, we need to be able to close. We need faster OODA loops, right? For those that know their John Boyd, right? Like observer-oriented deciding, right? We need faster OODA loops in security, and that applies across the board.
I think we're getting them, and I think the reason why we're getting them is because people are saying, "Forget this," and they're just going out and writing their own software. Like, that's one of the things that I've seen from my friends that, well, for the time being, with tokens being relatively cheap per token, is they are thinking, well, I have this problem and I need to go solve it. And it's created this economy where people are, it reminds me of the old days, like where, before interchangeable parts, it's like if you needed a part for your farm, you just went and built it. Like, you carved the piece that fit into the yoke of the ox or whatever. And that's just how life worked.